human.
It is a Christmas Eve football feast at Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville. We applaud you. Thank you very much for showing up today. It's a markedly larger crowd than I thought we would have today, and it's fantastic that you made Christmas Eve. You made the feast part of your Christmas Eve. Thank you very much. Alec Lewis, The Athletic, Nordo 9 to noon. I'm Paul Allen. Into the final hour, one of the finest men you will meet, and also one of the great quarterbacks in the history of Golden Gophers football. Can we get a witness? And a raucous round of applause for Mr. Tanner Morgan, ladies and gentlemen. Tanner Morgan at the Wednesday football feast. What's up, brother?
Hey, thanks for having me on. Merry Christmas.
And it must be big. You got the Schwantz, Luke and Andy
That's
Schwantz,
right.
to make the drive from like the Shakopee Prior Lake area. We met them speaking together at Friendship Church in Shakopee, I believe, right? And they made the trek to come see. Man,
I think
cool.
they're here to see you, not me.
No.
Great people, though.
No, I've done feasts. I've done feasts for many years. I've never seen him at one. Tanner time shows up, and here comes the Schwamp family, man.
So
that's good.
Great family, and great to chat with them and see him here today.
Great church, too. Thanks for letting us speak at your church recently. It's great to have you here, man. Thank you very much for, I guess I could say acquiescing. It wasn't really a lot of arm twisting or anything to get you here, but it is Christmas Eve. So thank you for joining us on Christmas Eve. And Tanner via X, if you're interested in following at T_Morg2, at T_Morg2. Your guy, PJ Fleck, head coach of the Gophers, 6-0 in bowl games.
Yep.
They got this, the Rate Bowl day after Christmas versus New Mexico in warm weather down Arizona way. What do you think of like them going to that bowl game? And when you had an opportunity to go to bowl games, what was it like?
Yeah, I think bowl games now aren't the same as they were when I got into college. I think everybody could agree with that. You look at the amount of people sitting out of games now. I mean, getting ready for the draft. PJ does a great job of preparing and using those extra practices, building next year's team. I think they had a young roster this year, especially up front. You had a guy like Nathan Roy who had to get thrown into the fire because Philip Daniels, tackle, leaves to go to Ohio State. They paid him a lot of money. And there's a reason he's continuing to play and going to play Miami in the college football playoff. But PJ does a great job of preparation for bowl games.
Yeah.
I don't think this will be any different. I know they love going out to Arizona. The guys were out going on horseback rides. I think I saw that on X today. But I think it's a good chance for continued development for Drake Lindsey. And then who knows what receivers end up, stepping up today with some of the guys entering the portal. And then that'll be a big thing I'm looking for of who they get on January 2nd through 18th. What receivers come on visits to go play with number 3 Drake Lindsey.
Yeah, we had a few teams pulling out of bowl games because they weren't part of the playoff mix this year. There were also some coaching changes, specifically with Kansas State. But is it truly an honor? I mean, going back to your playing days, it's an exhibition. They're not going for the national title this year, but they're going to get this bowl game opportunity. It is an exhibition. But overall, whether it's just in your own heads or, again, with that prep by PJ, do you feel the honor of being invited and getting this extra opportunity to showcase?
I think it's a chance to play again with the same guys, right? It's an opportunity to go compete against a team you may not have got a chance to play against. Big Ten SEC, right? I think of the Reliquis Bowl used to be the Outback Bowl. You've got Vandy playing Iowa. That's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
Right? Diego Pavia felt like he was snubbed from winning the Heisman. We all know the gist there. They felt like they were snubbed from getting into the playoff, but they're going to go play a really good Iowa team. That's going to be a great game on December 31st at 11 a.m. And I can't wait to watch that one. But some of these other bowl games, you get it. I mean, coaches, have a very tough job right now because they're preparing for a bowl game, but they also have to look at January 2nd to the 18th because the transfer portal happens one time. That's basically free agency in the NFL. That is the number one thing that they're looking at. Oh, and by the way, some of these coaches in the college football playoff have taken head coaching jobs elsewhere. You said Kansas State. Colin Klein was the offensive coordinator at Texas A&M. You don't think he's worried about who he's going to get in the portal when he's going to Kansas State, who he's bringing with him? That's, to me, where the whole calendar and that issue needs to be addressed.
It's crazy, too, because, it's the transfer portal, but you're doing evaluation. You're talking to agents. You're negotiating deals. You're trying to repair. You're trying to assess if we don't get this guy, who do we recruit out of the portal? It's mind-boggling to imagine what that life would be like and the amount of hours you'd probably have to allocate to do it well. absurd, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, in the NFL, you know it very well. You know whose contract is up. In college football, everybody is a free agent because they can get out of that contract at any point they want. Now there's teams kind of fighting that right now. You know, when Nico Iamaleava left Tennessee, leaving. There were some issues there, right? But he's staying at UCLA for another year with Bob Chesney coming over from James Madison. But the front offices are something that you've seen these top teams continue to develop because that is where player retention and then who they're going to bring in next year is of extreme importance because you have to have a list. You have to evaluate. You have to be working the phones behind the scenes with those agents of what guy might leave, what's it going to take to get him, how are we going to build our roster? Because in the NFL, I might need a guard in 2 years. In college football, you might know you need a guard on January 2nd, and on January 4th, you got to go get one. Right? It's crazy.
Yeah, and does it feel like, from your experience at least, that generally coaches would agree with that sentiment that the calendar needs to change? And I think about Lane Kiffin, huge name, of course. He goes to LSU probably to get a head start on the exact things you're talking about. And there's a lot of negativity around how that was all handled. You think Lane doesn't want a chance to go hoist a trophy with Ole Miss that he built before and then go to LSU? But there's the feeling that he has to play through and be ready to go with the Tigers year one, minute one. That's got to be a very frustrating thing for coaches. In some ways, maybe feeling powerless or helpless to impact that calendar.
Absolutely. I think many coaches have talked about it. Drinkwitz at Missouri, Mario Cristobal, he's a guy who kind of took it straight on in his press conference, said, yeah, it's not great, but we ask these players to be excellent every day. We need to go do that and have that same approach. There definitely has to be a change, but there's a lot of things that have to be changed. You mentioned bowl game. We talked about Minnesota, 6-0 in bowl games. PJ's done a great job, but that's something that's definitely on the topic of agenda of how do we fix this? Some guys have talked about putting bowl games week 0, but they don't have the same teams playing. Maybe it affects next year. There's all these theories, all these things that we can talk about and address, but who knows where it's going to go. What we do know is college football viewership is at an all-time high. Never been higher. People love the game. But things for long-term systemic health have got to change. And, I think it's interesting because we're talking about college football playoffs, these student athletes, right? You got guys that are playing in the playoffs that may not be in the same team next year. And if they're in the national championship, maybe you're a depth guy. Let's say Oregon goes the distance. You're a depth guy. But you're going to hit the portal to go to a G5 because you want to go play. Yeah. Well, you're going to have to leave in the middle of the national championship. We saw that last year at Penn State. They were playing their backup quarterback, Bo Pribula. Obviously, there's been a ton of stuff at Penn State. He leaves to go to Missouri. Now he's in the portal again. So it's craziness, and I think there's got to be some change. But what we know is college football is great, and people are watching it.
To segue a little bit, you mentioned Drake Lindsey. What did you like about what have you liked about what you've seen from him at the college level? Because I joke about with friends here locally, like I love watching him play. There are times where the arm talent, his ability to get the ball up and down is really impressive. He was under center a ton this year, which was kind of interesting. So I just would be, love to get your perspective on what you saw, what you liked.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you see his arm strength. When you watch the first game, his first completion is a 5-step, hits the back foot, rhythm and timing, sideline out to Coy Parrish, who's was doing small offense, playing more on defense now. Who knows what that'll look like in the bowl game. You see the ability to not only throw the fastball, which people talk about a lot, but he has the curveball. He has the ability to anticipate and shape throws with a big-time arm. To me, it's fascinating that he got out of the state of Arkansas as a quarterback. I mean, it makes no sense to me. Like, when you watch him throw, that's what it looks like. But the game is cyclical, right? The big style quarterback is becoming is back to kind of what it was maybe in early 2000s, right? And I think Drake fits that model. But what I loved seeing him as the season went on is command and ownership with his leadership ability. He always had it, but you saw him getting on receivers, getting on offense linemen, getting on the team, and really taking the team over as a young quarterback, making that switch.
Well, and what really impressed me, too, and you played for PJ. You know PJ as well as anybody. This is a guy that loves to dominate time of possession. He loves to dominate on the ground. And I've just been impressed by, in some ways, kind of whether it's Harbaugh, it's PJ, just that offensive conglomerate mind, having to adjust. Love Darius Taylor having trouble staying on the field, trying to find their way on the ground. And you have Drake Lindsey orchestrating game-winning drives, shootouts like in the Rutgers game, etc., and you're putting up 40, 50 yards in the ground. You just can't move men on the ground, but this young cat on the fly, again, trying to evolve him but get this offense scoring points. The ability to do that within the frame of a season with the young QB, really impressive to me.
100%. Same mentality, right? They're just using the quick game as a different way to get to the edge instead of, hitting those outside run, those tosses, all the different stuff. I think running the football will always be of utmost importance at Minnesota and in the Big Ten. Oregon does it very well, and they can throw the ball extremely well. But I think it's a testament to Harbaugh and Fleck understanding that we don't need to run the ball 41, 42 times a game when we had Muhammad Ibrahim. We can use, this quarterback's ability to hit, go in condensed split. It looks a lot like you're watching the Minnesota Vikings or the San Francisco 49ers at times, and Harbaugh, I think, is one of the most underrated coordinators in all of college football, specifically the Big Ten, and I would love to see what happens if they get some more cats out wide with Drake Lindsey and Harbaugh and what they can do in year 2 with him being the starter.
Why do you think he's underrated?
I think the way that he uses, if you watch what he does, I think he could go be a coach in the NFL. That's my opinion. The way that he coaches the quarterback. The last 2 quarterbacks he had, let's not forget, one, Max Brosmer, is making a start tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. Undrafted free agent quarterback. Now he had him at the end of his career, but being able to really mold his entire offense around Max and doing what Max could do could be one of the reasons why Max was able to step into the Minnesota Vikings offense so well, because he had history in a West Coast style of offense, right? A little bit different. You look at Drake Lindsey, maximizing potential, what he's done. They run a lot of the same concepts. The way they get to him is different. I think he's one of the best play callers in that sense of using, what he's got to his, his talent to the best of his ability, but understanding like he comes from an RPO tree, a little bit of a West Coast tree, but his offense has totally changed and it's evolved and he's continuing to get better, and I think it's awesome.
This may be an unanswerable question. All right, Tanner Morgan, one of the great Gopher quarterbacks in the history of the program. He's with us at the Christmas Eve feast, Buffalo Wild Wings, Roseville. You mentioned Max Brosmer. And Alec will remember when Kevin O'Connell said this. And it's easy on the surface to understand when he says, after Brosmer start against Seattle. Well, with McCarthy, when he started in the regular season, it might have been a beat or two too slow. He was seeing things a little too slowly. Picked it up. Now he's starting to look like he belongs. Brosmer, in his first 3 possessions, he was progressing too quickly, where he was like looking so quickly and he needed to actually slow down and wait. Like, how do you differentiate, or how do you work with players to either the getting them to speed up a little bit, that's age old. Getting them to slow down, stuff like that, that's not necessarily age old from a quarterback standpoint. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's very interesting. We were talking about this with Alec and I kind of offset a little bit earlier. Max is such a good processor, which Drake has some of those same qualities, that sometimes you're gonna know something's not open, that you're gonna get to number 2 in the progression too quickly and not give it a chance to actually get open. And I think when you have the adrenaline of your first start, by the way, you're in Seattle, one of the best NFL stadiums, in all of the
tough place to win.
And by the way, one of the best defenses in the country. And by the way, one of the best overall teams. And the quarterback on that team was Vikings. All the things that add up into it, that kind of gets your adrenaline pumping even more too. Wow. But Max is such a great progressor. You can see it, and he can process so quickly. Yeah. It even goes back to his first days at Minnesota. Coach PJ Fleck and Harbaugh were like, this guy can process the field so quickly. We have got to do more and get guys more in the progression. Alec, I'm sure you can talk about it, what you've seen, even in camp, with his ability to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go too crazy here, but there were days during training camp where you're watching the 3 quarterbacks, and at the time it was JJ, Sam Howell, and Max Brosmer, and this might get aggregated and I'll get crucified for it, but there were days where you're like, this guy looks as efficient throwing the football and making decisions, or more efficient than the other quarterbacks out on the practice field. That's just how it looked. What is interesting with kind of what you said is, I remember I talked to Coach Harbaugh in the summer about Max. And he's like, early on, when Max got here from New Hampshire, he thought he had to play so fast to acclimate to the speed of Division I football. And he realized, like, you're playing fast enough. Just slow down, and you're seeing it well enough to process and play well. And I feel like the NFL, Max transition has been kind of similar, where it's like he expects things to be so fast because it's the NFL, but then he realizes, like, I can play fast enough and it's not that big of a jump. So I will be very interested to see how it looks tomorrow at home. I'm not going to build Max up to, people.
I know what you mean.
People will joke with me, but like, if he goes out tomorrow and performs against this Lions defense and looks the part, I'm not going to be surprised at all.
But Tanner knows better than anybody. When you have the entire week to get ready for the Seattle game, and you're going against McDonald, who never, ever, ever loses to first or second-year quarterbacks. That's just his thing. And then in the Giants game, I mean, Brosmer was ready to go, period. But, he's not spending the whole week working with the ones. Then he comes in out of the bullpen and plays the best he's played at the NFL level. Now we're back to it's you, so you get all the reps, but it's a shorter week. I mean, he's just seen almost everything in this part of his rookie year.
Yeah, you talked about in college, right? His first game as a Gopher was against North Carolina. Overprocessed, tried to like he had to do too many things.
Drake May on the other side.
There's just so many things going on. And then week 3, totally different quarterback. Kind of seeing the same thing here, right? Week 1 against Seattle, or his first start against Seattle. Kind of some of that overprocessing, maybe. Who knows the whole details? Goes again against the Giants. Tyler Newbin has a huge sack, right? Former Gopher.
There were Gophers all over that game. John Michael Schmidt before he got hurt.
Yeah, and then he just comes in 3rd and 17. What a play, right? Throws a dot to Justin Jefferson on a sail right over a flat defender.
Crazy throw.
Shows the anticipation that he has. Now he's got the full week. I'm really excited to see him step in with a full week of preparation after he's had the experience of doing that in the NFL, because that's totally different.
The other thing for me is like the experience and getting the experience after that debut was not guaranteed. So you almost wonder if, like, what if he doesn't get to play in the second half against the Giants? And again, tomorrow we'll see how it goes. But if it goes well, like, what if he doesn't get that opportunity? Then he has to sit maybe for months, for years before getting to test that experience out again. It's just kind of a weird, interesting sliding doors thing probably for his own career. And I know, I mean, there's a lot of Max Brosmer talk, but I find him an interesting player because mentally, cognitively, I do think he has some special traits.
How well do you know Max? How well?
Yeah, I know Max pretty well. Great dude.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an awesome guy to be around. I think he has one of those qualities as a quarterback that people just flock to him. And I think some of the best quarterbacks probably in the history of football have that ability and that trait.
From because I know you watch all the Vikings games with McCarthy, from when he debuted to when we last saw him into the first half of the Giants game before the Burns hit. What did you notice with him that slowed down? And from a footwork standpoint, this aggressive leg whip that everybody talks about. Yeah, I mean, just like it's an unbelievable amount of coaching this young man faces. What have you seen?
Well, I mean, yeah, we could talk about the top of the drop and all that stuff, but let's not forget that he has Josh McCown, who's played a long time in the NFL, probably going to be a head coach. I mean, this is the guy who almost got a head coaching job with zero coaching experience for the Houston Texans.
Yep.
Like, that was very legit. That was real. That wasn't like they're just interviewing him to check it off. He actually had those interviews. And so a guy who's been around, that's definitely very helpful. He did a great job with Sam Darnold. I think when you can understand the offense a little bit more and you get the experience, it allows your talent to actually show. When you're trying to overprocess things, you don't have the chance to maybe you're overthinking. Your talent doesn't show up. I think J.J. McCarthy has great talent, great traits. That's why he was drafted in the first round. Well, it's part of the reason he won a national championship, even though Michigan did maybe cheat. Who knows? But I think you got to see
Big
that.
Ten terrorism there.
I think you got to see that kind of against Washington and last week as well. His talent kind of on display. You know, his back leg. We can get into a whole quarterback debate there. There's a million ways to skin a cat.
QB motion Midwest.
Yeah. And I wanted to actually ask you that because as an outsider over the course of this season, and you've heard it, you've ingested, I'm sure, a fair amount of it from the processing. There's the mental side. Are the lights too bright at this moment? And then, is the headset too busy? Those sorts of things. And every YouTuber with the all 22 access now is talking about the leg whip. We're talking about where the hip is on the release. The shoulders the front shoulder needs to be up a little bit. I mean, just as a guy that has played this position at a high level, in the end, what was more important? Your ability between the ears or how you actually executed that?
Yeah, well, it's both. The reality is you have to have full conviction behind the play call as a quarterback, and you have to have a full conviction behind the way that you're throwing the football. It's just like a golfer. When I walk up to the tee box, if I'm like, maybe I should go like out to in on this one or stagger my stance, probably going to go OB. Probably not going to hit a good ball. As a quarterback, you have to have the same thing. There's
Apparently,
a lot of ways
you've seen me golf.
Hey, me too. That's what I do. Get invited to these golf courses, and I'm, not hitting it so well. But I think from a mechanic standpoint, you have to have a full 100% belief in why you're doing what you're doing. Back leg whip, over rotation, right? If you stop your torso and you decelerate a little bit better, the ball should accelerate better. I think you look at Max Brosmer, he's always very stable at the end of a throw. I think a good stable base at the end of the throw can lead to a lot of accuracy. But that's not the case. You have to have a full conviction behind the way that you throw the football. That's something that we talk to quarterbacks when I'm at QB motion all the time. But really, there's a million ways. At the end of the day, you can overthink it and overcoach it and become a robot. if you as the quarterback allow yourself to do that, a lot of these things, mechanical-wise, you can get better in the season, but you have to have a full commitment in the offseason so that when you show up to OTAs or you show up to spring ball or you show up to training camp, those issues aren't the same. That's the way I think about it.
What have you thought? I mean, just like observing, I'm sure you've heard the amount of conversation about the mechanics, like just hearing it, seeing it in season. What like did you think of it, of hearing all that and seeing all of it in real time?
Dude, I mean, it's a Twitter topic for every quarterback coach in the country to talk about, right? My thing, I believe, is, when you look at his back leg, I think he does have some over-rotation problems because his back leg swings through and his torso, his shoulder, instead of stopping at the target, is always over-rotating.
Yeah.
But the reality is you can do that, and he has the talent to get away with it, right? He could get away with it at Michigan all the time. Now you're in the NFL, and maybe you can't get away with it all the time on Sundays when you're playing 1-versus-1 and all those things. Those are things that he can fix, and really there's different ways to approach it. I know for a fact Josh has definitely been looking at the mechanics and has one of the best guys to do that with him, and I have full confidence that they'll get the right things figured out because he has the right people in his corner.
I hear a lot of that, and I subscribe to it. I mean, because I'm an outsider. But it also makes me wonder, how did Phillip Rivers ever get into the league from North Carolina State? Honestly.
What was the clip we saw of him? Okay, first of all, 45-year-old guy playing last night against the Niners.
Yeah, when he went on the 7-step drop and fell.
Yeah, well, that happened too. We can blame the logo for that, though. It was the logo.
Plus-size passer.
Yeah, still wearing the 2000 turf shoes like he's playing in arena football.
Yeah, it was awesome.
But dude, he's
3/4 motion. I mean, everything.
Yeah. But the guy is a savant mentally. That's why he's at 45 able to go in and do what he's doing. Because you watch the clip that went viral on, I think the NFL posted it, where he's motioning a guy. They're going across motion. He changes the entire play. He tells them what to do. Complete and total command at the line of scrimmage, which in that day was the total norm. Still happens, but now you have more pure progression. All that stuff. We can get into a different conversation. But that was Phillip Rivers. Same thing that we saw of a recent clip of Aaron Rodgers telling the back, changes the route 3 times, right? Which is a little bit of Big Ben when Big Ben had Matt Canada and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that worked.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of that regime of quarterback, which is why they were so successful, is they knew exactly where they were going with the ball and why. And when you have a full conviction, there's a lot of different ways to hit a golf ball. There's a lot of different ways to throw a football. When you're very confident in what you're doing, it allows you to have the best chance to be successful.
I'm glad you mentioned that at the line, because you could hear it on the TV.
Bro, it was like a movie.
During the game.
Yeah.
And it's something
it was
I used to have, like you said, it used to be so normal, specifically with the high-enders, but more normal than it is now. You don't hear that a ton anymore. And you got calls, and you got trickery, we got motions, we got bits. But hearing him was kind of a throwback the other night, where he is truly just playing chess by himself out there, and specifically finding Alec Pierce some of those big third downs. It was an absolute throwback. It was awesome.
It's props to ESPN. And ESPN recognized 100%. This is different. Different's hard to find this oversaturated day and age. They potted up their parabolic mics. And there was a din of the crowd that was naturally quiet because they're on offense at home against the Niners, and they noticed, producer guy, director, whomever noticed, this is different. And we're going to pot it up a little bit. It was like it was reality TV. It was like a movie.
It was absurd because he's like, flipper thump, and then all of a sudden it's like a corner route wide open, like he was playing Madden, just hot routing guys all over the place.
Like the origin of that was Cam Newton with Clay Matthews many years ago, where, they're down by the goal line, and he I saw that on Wednesday. Boom, boom, boom. Ready? Touchdown.
Great cadence.
And Clay smiled because Cam was right. So, I mean, that's part of the game. But when it's as polarizing as it was Monday with Phillip Rivers, that was beautiful. Stick around for a second, all right? Tanner Morgan at T_Morg2. He's part of Quarterback Motion Midwest. Also, former Gophers quarterback, elite college, and Pro Football Mind. Great conversation taking place here on Christmas Eve and the Wednesday football feast from Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville into the penultimate next. So, Tanner, for somebody like me who doesn't follow college football super closely, but then the college football playoffs unfurl, I'm watching that low-scoring Miami game. Yep, God bless you guys. Merry Christmas. Good seeing you. And go Broncos. Yeah, so I'll follow it more closely now.
Yeah.
Indiana, IU. It's like before I was apprised of the Mark Cuban NIL influence, I was kind of like, wow, Golden Gophers, these smaller markets would be the wrong way to put it. Minneapolis, St. Paul, much bigger than Bloomington. Secondary type programs, just don't take that as an insult. Not Alabama, not Clemson, not Georgia, not that kind of stuff.
Taken.
Yeah, so therefore it's like, hey, look what they're doing. Well, then I learn about Mark Cuban and the NIL money that all of a sudden is coming in. So I'm going to ask you this question. Could IU do what it's doing now with Cignetti, the coach, but not Mark Cuban? Or would it need Cuban and not Cignetti to achieve to this level?
Great question. No. You have to have the money. You have to have the resources to be able to turn around IU, a historic approach. Vanderbilt, very same way. I think when you look at those two programs, what they did very well in the portal, they had the resources, but it's not like they had the same money that Georgia has or Notre Dame. All these different programs. What they did a great job in the portal is they valued production. You look at what they had with Curtis Rourke when he came in, produced at a great level at Ohio over a long period of time. Fernando Mendoza had production. You knew what you were going to get, and now you give him great coaching, great players around him, and you go and do it. And by the way, the number one receiver, Elijah Surratt, three-time transfers out of FCS program, then to James Madison, and now at Indiana. So they really value production.
Yeah.
Not no relation to Chaz Surratt, I don't believe.
I don't know. It's the first thing I thought of when he said it.
I Googled it. It was the first thing I thought of. With that said, to that end, it kind of speaks to the fact that, okay, like Big Ten school or SEC school, that not all schools are created equally in terms of, and it's not just outside financial resources either. He mentions Mark Cuban, which is clear that there's a lot of cash infusion, but even just the schools themselves, not all are created equally in terms of we're making athletics a priority, winning athletics programs, potentially a marketing asset in its own right to gain students. We are education focused, what we can do with what's left of the pie after everything else is covered. That's athletics. Not all schools are created equally, even inside the buildings either.
For sure. I think now it's a different day and age with revenue sharing coming in, right? You're going to have $20+ million if you're a Big Ten or SEC school to give to your entire athletic department for players only. But I think secondarily, that's why a guy like James Franklin goes to Virginia Tech, because he's playing in the ACC. And, oh, by the way, they've pledged $200 million in the athletic department overall. That's why it's an interesting job.
Wow. Quarterback Motion Midwest. You can learn more about this at T_Morg2, at T_MORG2. You Tanner's now been part of this for a couple of years at least, branches all over the country. What is it? And if somebody here listening or here at Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville has a Billy or Johnny or whomever that wants to ascend as a quarterback, what can you do for them? What kind of advice could you give them?
Absolutely. I think you're in charge of your own development from the quarterback position now more than ever, whether you're in the NFL or you're in youth football. So what we do at QB Motion is we're trying to build the total quarterback mentally and with revolutionary mechanics. We're talking about mechanic talk here. So just looking at rotary mechanics, but then also allowing guys to play free. You can check us out on our website, QBMotionMidwest.com. We can do mental stuff, but we have a lot of group sessions going on around the Twin Cities in the Midwest, but also one-on-one virtually. And then I'll also say College Football Talk just started a new thing with Quinn Carroll called the Honorable Mentions Podcast. If you guys can hear more college football talk, I got that going on too.
Right on.
Is the way that quarterback mechanics are the way that mechanics taught today different than when you were first learning how to throw?
So different.
Really?
Wildly different.
And in what ways?
Okay, first of all, everything was always long to short. So it was, how can I reach to the target, get as close to the target as I can, much like a pitcher. Now it's more, how can I play from a phone booth? How can I use my lower body, my rotation as a rotational athlete to drive a ball forward in different ways? And, oh, by the way, quarterbacks have never been probably more athletic overall than they have been. Doesn't mean you don't have a guy like Fran Tarkenton or Dante Culpepper who were freaks, Randall Cunningham. That's not what I'm trying to say, an overgeneralized statement. But quarterback mechanics in the past 15 years are night and day different. And you look at it across the board, everybody's doing it. Jimmy Garoppolo, one of the first guys. Brock Purdy, the way he throws the ball. Totally different than guys 10 years ago.
Oregon, Texas Tech in the Orange Bowl. Who wins and why?
I'm going to take the Ducks. I really love what Will Stein does offensively. Very multiple. I love their tight end.
Yeah, Kenyon Sadiq.
Sadiq the freak. He looked great in purple.
Ole Miss, Georgia, Sugar Bowl. Who wins and why?
I'm going to go Georgia. I think Ole Miss did a great job with the new head coach week 1. But I think Georgia has the dogs, and Kirby Smart is a guy who doesn't let complacency sneak in, and they're going to control the game on the ground.
The Canes and the Buckeyes in the Cotton Bowl. Who wins and why?
Let's go OH, baby. Julian's saying bounce-back game from the Big Ten. I'll take the Buckeyes.
Alabama and IU in the Rose Bowl.
Be careful.
Who wins and why?
This is a good one.
That's his favorite team.
I'll be honest with you. I could go either way.
Really?
I like both. Kalen DeBoer is a phenomenal coach. Got his roots out in Sioux Falls, coaching at USF.
Wow.
When they were an NAIA school. I'm going to go with the Tide with a major upset against it.
Really?
That Alabama OU game?
What I saw in the fourth quarter from Ty Simpson, I think Ty is taking the team on his back, and he's going to go and get it done. Mm-hmm. That is a very hot take because Indiana is a phenomenal football team, but I am a huge Ty Simpson fan.
I cannot believe you just
It's a scorching take, but Nordo and I need to Google Ty Simpson before we can validate that take.
I'm going to have a lot of texts like you're stupid.
I cannot believe you.
Especially being a Big Ten guy.
As an Alabama fan, I just can't believe you just did that. I don't think that's going to happen. Indiana's going to win the game.
Well, you're a fraud for not going to the game.
You're astonished.
I'm not a fraud.
You are. It's your favorite team all time of every team ever to team.
PA, they've been in the championship like billion times for 15 years. I don't. At this point, you just watch. You know they're going to be there.
Do you have the little pennants in your bedroom still?
No, I do not.
What about a Greg McElroy?
And it's not my favorite. It's not my favorite team. I watch the Minnesota Wild on a nightly basis.
Boldy.
Yeah, Boldy though.
Lastly, correct me if I'm wrong here. I think you played a year with Blake Cashman.
I did 2 years.
Wow.
Okay, 2 years. Wow. I mean, human nature gets to win too this time of the year when you're not going to the playoffs, man.
Yeah.
Not with him. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, there could be bonuses for which he's playing. I don't care. He is a wrecking machine every single game, man. Yeah. And he was good with the Gophers, obviously. This is a different level. How about Blake Cashman?
Blake Cashman, really cool to see him. 5th-round pick, what he's become in his journey. Let's not forget he was a walk-on out of Eden Prairie High School.
Wow.
Gophers. Walked on at the
Probably because he's not super tall, right?
Didn't fit the boxes, right? He's a guy who came in and made the most out of every opportunity, mastered special teams, and then eventually when he got a chance in the league to be a every down player in the box, and he's done a phenomenal job, and it's really cool to see Blake and what he's done in his career.
The other thing with him is he had so many injuries early in his career in New York and Houston, and so to get the opportunity now to play down to down and be on the field for him, it's got to be incredible.
It's got to be a great feeling, and he's earning that contract that they gave him.
Tanner, you're fantastic. Merry Christmas. Great. God bless you and your family. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, man.
Tanner Morgan, ladies and gentlemen, firing bullets 9 to noon. Final segment after this.
I can't wait until tomorrow.
Thank you for joining us at Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville. Thank you for listening to the Christmas Eve feast. Nick Madden Street Team, great work during not only today, but the course of the 2025 feast season. Likewise for Jared Wells, the engineer. It's been a cavalcade of producers back at FM 100.3, KFAN, Devin Ward, Sam Bird, Brett Blakemore. They've all done great work during the course of the year, and we greatly appreciate your contributions. The Vikings play tomorrow on Christmas Day. Christmas Day football tomorrow, 3:30, Vikings and Lions. Final thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, for me, again, I'm excited that Max Brosmer, disappointed that J.J. McCarthy's not playing, excited for the opportunity in front of Max Brosmer. I want to see him throw a touchdown, not an interception. I want to see Justin Jefferson part of the mix. And we are getting into the getting out alive part of the season, sadly. But on Christmas Day, come out with a win and end the Kitties' playoff chances. That'd be terrific.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see if Max, just how efficient he looks. And for me, this game will come down to, can you stop the run? Jahmyr Gibbs, obviously, is a problem. Will the cross dog blitzes work again? Can you get to Jared Goff in the interior, force him a little bit out of the pocket? And then offensively, can you move the football productively up the field via the quick game? It'll be interesting.
What if they make it 7 without a touchdown pass allowed?
Wouldn't be surprised.
Tall task.
Defense has been exceptional. You didn't say anything about my coat, by the way.
It was a terrific coat.
I mean, nobody said anything.
It was awesome.
I said it.
Why'd you take it off so quickly?
I was getting warm in here. It's Roseville Buffalo Wild Wings.
The Detroit Lions have at least one touchdown pass, 21 consecutive games. The Vikings haven't given up one, 6 consecutive. Be curious to see how that works out tomorrow. That's what I'll next chat with you on FM 100.3 KFAN for the Boom. Hey, God bless all of you.
Merry
Have a great
Christmas.
Christmas. God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.